Welcome, welcome to both old and new. We are talking about keepers of life. This path is the path of life, which is what every path is. So, but sometimes we have not necessarily understood or connected with life because that requires an intention. It is like being a child, and to grow up, we have to choose to become a grown up, to engage with life. So, we that is what I found with body being or opening up the body. You have to choose to open up. It doesn't just happen to you. We're not just unconsciously led. We are unconsciously led, and yet at one time we will have to start daring to become consciously led. That meaning we have to dare to look at what is the choice, where do we want to go, and this life where there are so many possibilities, so many teachings that we can choose, and we can look at where do we want to go. That is the difference now than before. Before, people were more just unconsciously led, and we didn't totally know. We were more like just a group of people kind of having a leader just leading us, and we were kind of just blind. And now, with all the information out there, we're all with this information. That's kind of the first level of enlightenment, so to speak. So as everybody has kind of reached this first level, because the first level of enlightenment is the level of kind of seeing, the seeing of the I am, recognizing that it is there. So kind of as consciousness or spirit, we are being told through all teachings, through our friends, psychology, all kinds of lineages. We're getting to know that we have this pond of water, and to realize that we have this pond, it is to realize the I am. And for most of us, we then see this pond, and we own this pond, and we see its shiny surface of this pond. So that is kind of seeing it, and we are seeing the I am, our power, our energy, our life. We're seeing this. And now we have TV, we have drugs, we have all kinds of things that we can kind of settle onto this pond. We're giving these floaters so we can all like float on this pond of the I am. So everybody is kind of connecting with this, and we can see all people talk about that's how it feels, and that's how it is, and that's how we can think. And yes, I'm there too. So we can we're claiming the I am as a seeing. We're looking at it. It's like looking at a TV, and I can recognize that situation. It's kind of what I am. So it's like seeing that I am. It's kind of that I am. It is the education. So everything out there, people are growing up in different societies of school. We're getting educated more. So that is kind of the first level of enlightenment. And this level will, of course, be kind of different from every person, as we still kind of are looking at life Some people more with their thoughts, some people more with their emotions, some people more with their physical body, some people more with their soul, some people more with their spirit. But we're all kind of engaging with this I am. From this level, from the pawn, then suddenly we can hit a car accident, or we can get touched by God, or we have like a different means, or suddenly a hit by a depression. It's like kind of getting fall down under the surface of the pond. Under the surface, it's more intense. You can have a feeling drowning. It can be overwhelming because you suddenly feel the energy more. You're feeling more what's going on. And this is where a lot of people in meditation and different things, they can bring your spirit or your energy, your focus into the pond, into under the surface. And then you realize that even if there was clarity above the surface, under the surface, there's all this dust. So then we kind of, with the stillness of our focus, suddenly we can sink into that dust, and we can kind of shine light on it. And the energy of us then brings more focus on it, and then we can open up a space, and in that stillness of the mind, the presence of us, this dust then kind of falls to the ground. It kind of clumps together, coagulates kind of, and then it falls to the ground. So then suddenly we have a space under the surface where we can experience the I am. It's kind of a deeper feeling of I am. It's kind of like where a lot of people are working towards this level, the God experience, or the consciousness experience, or more that it's just the oneness of it. So then we can kind of again and again go down and clear, and we go to different parts of the pond and we clear. But gradually, as things kind of, when we go up again, the dust starts coming up again. So it is kind of like it's a practice, but it's almost kind of continuous, because we're still kind of working. It's like we're working it. There is another level, the third level of enlightenment, where we kind of we bring the embodiment. So that's where we talk about body being. So when we kind of get to know that we can get under the surface, we get hit with these emotions, or the dust and the confusion and all this. But then instead of just kind of being in it all the time, we're relaxing. That there is life here, that there is a system of this pond. So then you're realizing there's a depth to the pond, and when you kind of engage with it, but then in letting yourself sink in it, you can allow the energy to kind of sink more down. The dust goes all the way down to the ground. And then what happens is that it becomes an expansion even more. And gradually we're expanding outwards in the pond. And gradually there will be an uprooting of patterns, where we touch the ground of the pond. There's a lot of more dust there, so it can actually we become dusty even more. It's like diving. When you hit, if it's like a dirty ground, all this stuff all this kind of fat and all this roots that is down. So that kind of comes up. It creates a bigger wave, but it serves a purpose. There is like an intention that needs to happen, a trust, a faith. And as we expand more, then from the surface, the waves start going out to the edges of the pond. And suddenly we become aware that there is a river going from the pond down to the sea. And suddenly the water kind of overflows that barrier. Because what has happened is that when we just look at the pond, it has kind of settled, and there's this layer of fat on top, oil kind of on top of the pond. So that everything has become stagnant and kind of dead. So it has kind of stopped, it's kind of coagulated, so the river has kind of stopped flowing. So suddenly with this extra energy, we start opening up and water starts pouring over its edges and down the river. And in that moment, there's a suction happening. We're starting to open up the gates. And at the same time, then there's a river also coming from above from the heavens into the pond. So there's starting to get movement. So there's a cleaning out happening. So then suddenly we start to move, we start to clean. We're not just there in presence, we're allowing the channel of river to connect. And then we start seeing, when we kind of trust in this, and we can suddenly get out of the pond and we can start moving some rocks and some sticks and stuff that has been clogging the space. And we can actually make a little bit of a little cabin of these sticks and all this wisdom down under. And then gradually there's more water flowing through the pond and out. So we're starting to open up. There's still kind of barriers coagulating it down the river. That's a kind of a far ways down. But we start moving a little bit at a time. And then we start opening up for new energy coming through, and that starts clearing the energy of the pond, the dust, all the stuff that is hidden deep down under. So that's kind of where like the body is needed, that we kind of allow this energy, these gates to open, so that there's a clearing. It's not just you, it's the understanding that there is a naturalness to life. There's the energy of life actually wants to flow through. So it's not just, we don't want to just be stillness. We kind of want the flow to the ease. So we want a little bit of drift going through, so that not everything just clogs and becomes foggy and hazy. So then we kind of open up there, and then we can start to like kind of create a nice area around. And with this flow, that will actually also gradually open up, that when the oil on top of the water has kind of made the air also kind of dead and still. But when it starts moving, it becomes fresh, and the wind starts to connect with it. And there's birds feeling the energy, and there's bushes, trees, everything around starts growing. And then you can kind of harbor this life where you are connected with life. So that is where we are kind of opening up this to our talks, and we're realizing that when we open up these gates a little bit at a time, we don't want to do too much. If we open up too much, like when I just want to be healed, I just want to be praised by God, all this. If you open up too much energy, you become very open. But at the same time, we might have broken the river too much, that it's not keeping life anymore. They talk about this in different places that if you open up too much energy, your body won't survive. It actually creates disease as well, to problems. It kind of can create like emotional problems or problems in the uterus and problems with cancer because there's too much water coming in. So all the dams break up into fast and they start overflowing, and you might reach the sea, but it's kind of clogging us too. It kind of, your knees might handle it. There's different things that might buckle under the pressure. So what we're doing here is we're kind of opening up this gate a little bit at a time. We're bringing a little bit, we're dipping down a little bit at a time, so we can open up a little bit at a time. And then in that way, we become keepers of life. Then we become, the pond is no longer just ours. We start to connect with the river above, the river below, and gradually we're opening up these gates, and then life comes in, other people come in, animals, birds, the air, everything comes in, and then we can all share life. So we become keepers of life. And that is when we allow the body to open in a gradual, gentle way, your body can kind of hold the energy flow. And that is where rejuvenation, or that the body can stay vibrant and alive. So that is kind of the path of peaceful life, is that we are allowing this, the energy to awaken a little bit, because every path of it will kind of shake you. And when you go down into the deep depths of the pond, every time it will knock you over. Dust will come up and changes happens. And that is really the beauty of this path. But it's also a little uncomfortable. So we're getting to see it, and it's kind of tuning in, and it's daring to be seen, and also daring to be guided, and not needing to force it too much. So it requires more maturity to start seeing it at this level. It's not just a chase for enlightenment, because the higher levels of enlightenment kind of takes time. It kind of is a gentle journey that can kind of gradually expand. And then more and more you can enjoy and interact with everything in life. And you become a walker of life, a keeper of life. So that is kind of a little bit of an illustration of what we are kind of going through, these levels of enlightenment, so to speak. That it might seem very intense, like, oh, I figured it out, or people, go after techniques and all this stuff. But all techniques kind of is needed. Everything is kind of talking about the same. But now we have everything is out there. Then you realize that they're all kind of leading you towards the same thing. But you also have to realize that you have a choice. Do you want to keep digging down, going under the surface, looking at the stuff, because there's a lot of dust on the surface. There's a lot of fat, adipose stuff that will come up, and suddenly sometimes you will feel very clouded and very emotional, anger, emotions coming up, because stuff stirs, not just your own stuff, but stuff from your parents, stuff from your kids, stuff from your ancestors, patterns of society that has been kind of accepted. And now you have to kind of find a way of having peace with it, and be lovingly embrace these waves of energy, of spirit coming in. So we're kind of allowing spirit to fill us, spirit to kind of guide us. So that is the yeah. So if you're new here, then these Wisdom Wednesdays are kind of a way we were tuning in, a little bit of a support for you, where I kind of bring this focus in different ways, because this takes time to kind of see these levels. So it's good to have some guidance on the path. So as we kind of wrap up this Wednesday, I would like to kind of just take some time to just kind of relax. I talked about, sort of sink down into it and allowing it to kind of the energy to move down the river. That is what we do. We're relaxing so the energy can move down the river. The river is also internally in your body, down into your crotch, down into your legs, down into the feet. And then we open up the gates from heaven, from above, down into your head, down into your neck, down into your shoulders. And that is almost like you can feel this weight coming in, because we're kind of just in the depths of the pond. It's like in heaviness, a pressure. That's how energy can be felt, like a pressure. And then we can kind of almost like hit the bottom of the pond and dare to relax there a little bit, just to trust the process. It is a trusting in the process, realizing that all these emotions, all these energies can be trusted. These are yours. This is your gift to yourself, and we're finding a way to kind of harness them and let them flow, finding the ease of life, so that we can start to embrace and become keepers of life. And that's when we kind of step into body being and gradually into the enlightened being. And then it's almost like an out breath, just it's a surrender. And it's a release. It kind of comes through and then it comes up again, waking you up. And if this is your first time, or if you're new, like, I will give some testimonies and more talk a little bit about my journey. I've been doing this for more than 20 years. And this is a path that is a little different than many. And if you have questions, like, let me know and I might address them in these Wednesdays of East, these Wisdom Wednesdays. And yeah, there's a retreat coming up in beginning of June, and I got my new book that it came out. So if you are wondering, you can always get it on Amazon, kind of as a little support for yourself, maybe reading a chapter every day to kind of tune into the energy of the space. And yeah, I'm happy for everybody that is tuning in, and there are some new people coming in. So that is why we're kind of starting afresh and looking at it, because it's a gradual reminder. So we are done for today, and I wish you a blessed Wednesday or whatever day it is. Bye, guys.